What you are about to witness will shake you to your core, and I guarantee by the end of this video you will never look at the power of human resilience the same way again. This is the story of Emma, a 7-year-old girl who had been completely silent for over 3 years, and the miraculous moment that changed everything, not just for her, but for every single person who witnessed it. The doctors said it would never happen. The therapists had given up hope. Her own parents had started accepting that their daughter's voice might be lost forever. But what happened on that ordinary Tuesday morning in a small classroom in Ohio defied every medical prediction and broke every heart in the most beautiful way possible. Emma was born like any other child, laughing, crying, babbling, making all the sounds that fill parents' hearts with joy. But at age 4, something changed. A traumatic event that we will respectfully keep private caused Emma to retreat into complete silence, not selective mutism, not shyness, complete and total silence for over 1,000 days. Her parents, Sarah and Michael, tried everything. Speech therapy, play therapy, even experimental treatments that cost them their life savings. They watched their vibrant, talkative daughter become a ghost of herself, communicating only through gestures and drawings that would make grown adults weep. The family moved to a new town, hoping for a fresh start. Emma was enrolled in Lincoln Elementary, where she met Mrs. Rodriguez, a teacher with 30 years of experience, who had never encountered a case quite like this. Mrs. Rodriguez made it her personal mission to reach Emma, using methods that seemed unconventional, even crazy to outsiders. Every morning, Mrs. Rodriguez would sit with Emma and simply talk. She would tell stories about her own childhood, her dreams, her fears, treating Emma not as a patient but as a friend. She never pressured Emma to respond, never made her feel different from the other children. She simply created a safe space where Emma could exist without judgment. Months passed, and while Emma showed signs of progress, small smiles, occasional nods, she remained silent. The other children in the class had grown protective of Emma, understanding somehow that she was special. They would include her in games, assign her silent roles in their playground adventures, and defend her fiercely against anyone who dared to comment on her silence. Then came that Tuesday morning, the morning that would change everything. It started like any other day. Emma arrived with her lunchbox and backpack, taking her usual seat by the window. Mrs. Rodriguez began the morning reading, as she always did. Today, she had chosen a story about a little bird who had lost its song. As Mrs. Rodriguez read, Emma seemed more engaged than usual. She was leaning forward, her eyes bright with interest. The story told of how the little bird searched everywhere for its voice, traveling to distant lands, meeting other creatures who tried to help, but the bird remained silent, growing sadder with each passing day. The classroom was unusually quiet, even for a group of 7-year-olds. Everyone seemed captivated by the story, as Mrs. Rodriguez reached the climax, where the little bird realizes that its voice had been inside all along, waiting for the right moment to emerge. Something magical happened. Emma stood up from her chair. The movement was so sudden, so unexpected, that every head in the classroom turned toward her. Mrs. Rodriguez stopped reading, her heart beginning to race with anticipation. Emma walked slowly to the front of the classroom, her small hands trembling slightly. What happened next will be burned into the memory of every person in that room forever. Emma looked directly at Mrs. Rodriguez, her eyes filling with tears, and spoke her first words in over 3 years. The bird never lost its voice. She said her words clear and strong, despite the emotion behind them. It was just waiting for someone who truly wanted to listen. The silence that followed was deafening. 23 children sat frozen in their seats. Mrs. Rodriguez dropped the book, her hands flying to cover her mouth as tears streamed down her face. Even the janitor, who happened to be passing by, stopped in the hallway later, saying he felt something profound had just occurred. But Emma was not finished. She turned to face her classmates. These children who had protected and included her for months, without ever expecting anything in return. "Thank you," she said, her voice growing stronger with each word. "Thank you for being my friends when I could not find my voice. Thank you for never making me feel broken." By now, there was not a dry eye in the classroom. Children who barely understood the magnitude of what they were witnessing were crying. Mrs. Rodriguez was sobbing openly. The principal, who had been called to witness this moment, was recording on her phone with shaking hands. Emma continued speaking for nearly 10 minutes, expressing gratitude, telling her classmates how much their kindness had meant to her, describing feelings she had kept locked inside for years. She spoke about the scary time that had taken her voice away, and how her new friends and teacher had slowly helped her feel safe again. When Emma finally finished speaking, the classroom erupted. The children rushed to embrace her. Mrs. Rodriguez knelt down and held Emma close, whispering how proud she was, how brave Emma had been. The principal immediately called Emma's parents, who raced to the school in what they later described as the most emotionally charged car ride of their lives. Sarah and Michael arrived to find their daughter surrounded by friends, chattering away as if the last 3 years of silence had been a distant dream. When Emma saw her parents, she ran into their arms and said the words they had dreamed of hearing. "Mommy, Daddy, I found my voice again." The reunion was captured on the same phone that had recorded Emma's first words. The raw emotion of that moment, the pure joy mixed with years of held-back tears, created a video that would eventually be shared millions of times. But more than the viral nature of the story was the profound impact it had on everyone involved. Mrs. Rodriguez later said that in 30 years of teaching she had never experienced anything so powerful. Emma had not just found her voice, she had taught everyone present about the incredible resilience of the human spirit, about the power of patience and unconditional acceptance. The other children in the class learned lessons that day that would shape them for life. They learned that everyone struggles with something, that kindness costs nothing but means everything, that sometimes the greatest gift you can give someone is simply accepting them exactly as they are. Emma's parents learned that miracles do happen, but they often come disguised as ordinary moments on ordinary days. They learned that hope should never be abandoned, even when medical professionals suggest otherwise. They learned that their daughter had been healing all along, just on her own timeline. The story spread throughout the school district, then the state, then across the nation. People from all walks of life were moved by Emma's journey. Parents of children with special needs found hope. Educators were reminded why they chose their profession. Therapists reconsidered their approaches to treating trauma. Emma continued to thrive after that day. Her voice grew stronger, not just literally, but figuratively. She became an advocate for other children struggling with selective mutism, participating in awareness campaigns, and sharing her story to help others understand that silence does not mean there is nothing to say. Mrs. Rodriguez received teaching awards and recognition, but she always insisted that Emma was the real teacher that day. Emma had taught everyone present that healing happens in its own time, that patience and love can work miracles that every child deserves. Someone who believes in them unconditionally. The classroom where this miracle occurred was later renamed in Emma's honor, not because she needed the recognition, but because her story represented everything that education should be about: creating safe spaces where children can grow, heal, and find their voices. Years have passed since that remarkable Tuesday morning. Emma is now a confident, articulate teenager who still credits Mrs. Rodriguez and her elementary school classmates with saving her life. She speaks at conferences about childhood trauma and recovery, inspiring countless others with her resilience. But perhaps the most beautiful part of this story is how it changed everyone it touched. Those 22 other children grew up understanding the power of inclusion and acceptance. They learned that disabilities and differences are not things to be feared or mocked, but part of the beautiful diversity of human experience. Mrs. Rodriguez continued teaching for several more years before retiring. She kept in touch with Emma and her family, and was the guest of honor at Emma's high school graduation. When Emma spoke as valedictorian, she dedicated her speech to the teacher who never gave up on her, and the classmates who showed her that friendship has no conditions. Emma's parents became advocates for children with selective mutism, establishing a foundation that provides resources and support for families facing similar challenges. They never forgot the lesson their daughter taught them, that children heal when they feel safe, loved, and accepted. The ripple effects of that one moment continued to spread. The video of Emma speaking for the first time has been viewed over 50 million times, touching hearts across the globe, inspiring policy changes in special education, funding research into childhood trauma and recovery, and most importantly, giving hope to families who thought hope was lost. This story reminds us that every child has a voice worth hearing, that patience and love can overcome the deepest wounds, that sometimes the most profound moments happen in the most ordinary places, that teachers have the power to change lives, that children are far more resilient than we often believe. But most importantly, Emma's story teaches us that we never know when our kindness might be exactly what someone needs to find their voice again, whether it's a struggling classmate, a coworker going through a difficult time, or a stranger who seems to be carrying a heavy burden. Our acceptance and compassion might be the key that unlocks their healing. If you have been moved by Emma's incredible journey, please share this story with others who need to hear it. Like this video if it touched your heart, and subscribe to see more inspiring stories that remind us of the incredible power of human resilience. Comment below if you have ever witnessed or experienced your own miracle moment, and let us know how this story impacted you. Remember that somewhere there is a child who needs exactly the kind of acceptance and patience that Emma received. Somewhere there is a teacher wondering if they are making a difference. Somewhere there are parents who have almost given up hope. This story is for all of them, and for anyone who believes in the power of never giving up on another human being. Emma spoke for the first time after 3 years of silence, and everyone cried not because they were sad, but because they had witnessed something truly miraculous. The moment when love, patience, and acceptance helped a lost voice find its way home.